If you are looking for the easiest way to master Yangyang Xuanling, you're in the right place. Today, we are breaking down the brand new 5-star Havoc DPS, Yangyang Xuanling, from her kit and rotations to her best echoes, weapons, team compositions. Let's jump right in. But before we continue, let's hear our word from today's sponsor. Do you need a quick and affordable way to top up your Wuthering Waves account? Then check out BuffBuff, an officially certified game top-up platform. With their self-top-up servers, you can get up to 70% of the in-game price, helping you save more on every purchase. Just head over to the Wuthering Waves self-top-up page, enter your UID, choose the pack that you want, and complete your payment using one of many available payment methods, and your top-up will be delivered swiftly and safely. If you would like to save more on your next purchase, use my exclusive BuffBuff link in the description below, and use code NARUVT. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, let's kick off with Yangyang Xuanling's core mechanics. Yangyang is now a Havoc Main DPS that leans heavy into Havoc Bane and heavy attack damage. Her gameplay revolves around consuming her forte to use Resonance skill and gaining Azure Plume, which unlocks her heavy attack. First, what you need to know is that Yangyang works just like Imyth, where you can switch her stance by pressing your Resonance skill, which is heavily tied to her forte circuit. She has two combat stances, Azure Sword Stance and Feather Sword Stance. While the animations are different, they work almost identically. We can now talk about her forte circuit, which is split into two mechanics, Melody and Azure Plume. In either stance, holding or repeatedly tapping your basic attack performs a 4-hit combo that consumes Melody to deal Havoc damage. As long as you still have Melody available, these attacks also generate 20% more energy, helping you charge your ultimate faster. The important part is the 4th hit. Landing the final attack applies 1 stack of Havoc Bane, which is another key mechanic that you will use throughout her rotation. Remember those two stances that we talked about earlier, Azure Sword and Feather Sword? Whenever you completely consume your Melody, your Resonance skill changes, allowing you to switch to the opposite stance. It does 4 important things. 1 is obviously switching your stance, 2, it fully restores your Melody, 3, it grants 1 Azure Plume, and 4, it consumes 1 stack of Havoc Bane on the enemy. So your gameplay naturally revolves around spending Melody, swapping stances, then repeating the cycle. Every time that you switch your stances, you will gain 1 Azure Plume. You can store up to 2 plumes, and once they are full, you unlock your stance's heavy attack, called Azure Sword Stance. Now when you hold your heavy attack, it unleashes a massive cyclone that deals heavy attack damage. Even better, once every 25 seconds, this attack also gains a 160 crit damage bonus, making it one of the strongest burst attacks. It also applies 2 stacks of Havoc Bane. In Feather Sword Stance, your heavy attack works a little bit differently. Instead of ending there, it automatically chains into Featherfall, a powerful aerial attack. Alright, let's quickly summarize her 2 resources. Melody is your main resource, your basic attack spended, while switching stances completely refills it. Azure Plume is your heavy attack resource, you gain it from stance swaps, intro skill, and liberation. Then spend both plumes to unleash your strongest attacks. Alright, let's talk about Havoc Bane. What does it actually do? Havoc Bane has 3 important effects, and understanding them is the key to maximizing her damage. First is a damage amplifier. The more Havoc Bane stacks an enemy has, the more damage Yangyang deals to that target. At the maximum of 6 stacks, she gains up to 66% increased damage, making it one of the biggest parts of her DPS. Second, every time that any teammate applies Havoc Bane, Yangyang gets a stack of Feathered Oath. You can build up to 6 stacks, and each one increases the crit damage of her strongest heavy attack abilities. At 4 stacks, that's an incredible 150% crit damage bonus. The only catch is that Feathered Oath doesn't really last long, so you'll want to consistently apply Havoc Bane to maintain that buff. There's also another bonus tied to applying Havoc Bane called Windbound. Once Windbound reaches 6 stacks, Yangyang will build a bird missile. The missile knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. When missile is ready, the next time that she switches her stance with her Resonance skill, she summons Feathered Release Xuanling, 7,000 pigeons, which it instantly applies 6 stacks of Havoc Bane to the target, allowing Yangyang to maintain her maximum Havoc stacks much easier. Finally, Yangyang has a passive called Refrain. Whenever her 4th basic attack or heavy attack hits an enemy, it spreads the highest Havoc Bane stack to all nearby enemies. This makes building stacks against multiple enemies much easier and gives Yangyang excellent performance in AoE content like wutheringwaves. So the goal is simple, Keep Havoc Bane at maximum stacks, maintain Feathered Oath, and let Refrain spread those stacks across the battlefield for maximum damage. Now let's talk about her sweet and juicy rotation. After you swapped in, you should use your Echo skill. Next, do basic attack 4 times. Then tap your Resonant skill. Next, hold your basic attack so you release your Feather stance heavy. Afterwards, immediately use your Resonance Liberation, followed by a Resonant skill, and combo it by holding your basic attack until you see your Azure Sword stance heavy is casted, and finally swapping out. And that's Yangyang's full kit and rotation. But what about her build? For her Echo set, Yangyang only has one option to pick from, and it is 5-piece new set Song of Feathered Trace. It provides a nutty 20% crit rate and 35% heavy damage bonus. Equipping the 1000 Puppet Pavilion as your main Echo additionally gives 12% Havoc damage and 12% heavy damage bonus. And your main stat priorities should be crit damage on your 4 cost, Havoc damage bonus on your 3 costs, and attack percent on your 1 cost. For substats, prioritize on crit rate and crit damage, heavy attack bonus, attack percent, and flat attack. And also do try to get 1 energy regeneration roll. You don't really need too much since she already gets some bonus from her kit, and also the Echo set already provides 10% ER. Now let's move on to weapon recommendations. Yangyang's signature weapon, Azure Oath, is her piston slot. It provides 24% crit rate, it also provides 12% all attribute, and 36% heavy damage buff. It also allows her heavy attack damage to ignore an additional 12% defense, massively bumping up her damage potential. As for alternatives, if you already have Choyo's signature Emerald Sentence, it can be a great alternative as it does increase your attack by 12% and heavy damage by 30% with the effect. Otherwise, your free-to-play alternative option should be the good old Emerald of Genesis. Alright, let's talk about her sequences. Is it worth additionally investing into Yangyang beyond Sequence 0? Sequence 1 is primarily a utility sequence where it not only adds interrupt immunity on her strongest attacks, casting sword stance switches also stagnate nearby enemies, and it also adds an extra tick of big damage. Sequence 2 doubles Yangyang's damage on her heavy attacks, allowing Yangyang to immediately kickstart the combat with a liberation to inflict 6 stacks of Havoc Bane, and it also removes the 25-second cooldown on her heavy attacks crit damage buff. And yet again, it also adds another tick of big damage. Sequence 3, it drastically increases Yangyang's liberation multiplier, and it can also further increase Havoc Bane stack cap and the speed of Havoc Bane stacks on enemies. Sequences 4 and 5 are just purely utility and not really too much to mention for. And lastly, on her Sequence 6, Yangyang gains a 40% heavy multiplier increase. When Yangyang uses Resonant skill to switch sword stances, you will get 5 birds that deal heavy attack damage, and said damage is guaranteed to crit. So what is my recommended stopping points for her sequences? S0 is perfectly fine for most players. With her designated teammates, her performance is potent but in line with power creep. S3 is a gigantic bump for Yangyang's damage. S2 and S3's buffs put together are just very simple and brutal. S6, well, it is what it is, it makes her damage soar right off the charts. So overall, what is our recommended investment? S0R1 is good to ensure that Yangyang can have a better shelf life like every other DPS. S3R1 for the jump in damage and have a long-term carry in TOA and wuwa. S6R1 and above for whales to mess around with, pretty much. Alright, so what are the best teams for Yangyang as of release now? We have Yangyang, Chisa, Motefi/Yuno. Motefi and Yuno are both interchangeable because they both provide heavy attack damage amp. Chisa is there as your general sustain, and she's also a very consistent Havoc Bane applier. And when Susui releases, Susui is going to replace Motefi or Yuno in that slot. So another option to Motefi and Yuno would be Electro Rover, as Rover grants the incoming resonator 25% all damage amplification after they inflict any negative status. Another upside with Electro Rover is that they are free after you complete the Xuanling story from patch 3.5. Another team that I actually have is Yangyang, Frolova, and Chisa. It's more like a goofball team that you would mess around with, and I also do recommend that you do have some sequences before you try out this team. But I do have to say it feels really good to use in the overworld. And that's it for team composition. So what do you think about Yangyang? Are you pulling for her and summon 7,000 pigeons? Let me know in the comments below. For any updates or changes to the guide, be sure to check the pinned comment. this guide helped you, again, please drop a like and subscribe. Also maybe share the video as well. Again, thanks for Buff for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching, best of luck to your pulls, and have a wonderful day.
お久しぶりです、漂白者さん。